Hey everyone, it's Bill, your detective, although I'm not a detective today. I hope you all really enjoyed listening to The Slain Singer. We had heaps of fun putting it together. I think it came out really well. I loved doing the music for this mystery. I loved playing with like the rock sounds, which was kind of a different feeling from the first one where there was less obvious thematic direction. Even if Kat's theme was a little bit too cool for her. And also, of course, we had some very spectacular voice work from Neil, which was just a joy to listen to. I listened to the extra takes that didn't get into the episode, and they were just beautiful. So maybe I'll put those. Maybe I'll make those available somewhere one day. So there's going to be a little bit of downtime again between last mystery and this next coming mystery. I haven't played the next mystery yet, so I'm very excited to see what it is. But there's going to be a little bit of downtime between them while we get everything created and prepared and edited and the music made and all that sort of stuff. Again, I'm not 100% sure how long that will be. We'll try and keep it as short as we can, but there's probably going to be one more week of bonus episodes after this before we get into the actual meat of a new mystery. So stay tuned for that. It should be exciting. And what we have today is something different, because what we're going to do is give you the first episode of another podcast's murder mystery arc, Who Killed Harlowe Thrombey. So in a second, we're going to jump over to listen to their intro and they'll describe what the whole show is. But just as a sort of rundown, this is an episode of the show Finish It, which is a fantastic indie podcast in which two brothers try and 100% complete choose-your-own-adventure novels. So they play through every page, every story, and they try and read every single part of the book. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen in one episode. So this episode is their first read-through of the murder mystery choose-your-own-adventure novel, Who Killed Harlowe Thrombey. It is hilarious, it is fantastic, and hopefully, if you enjoy it, you can go check out the rest of the mystery. It gets so wild and so ridiculous, and they have some fantastic episodes. If you've been liking the music that I've been doing for Solve This Murder, you're going to love every aspect of the music they do over there. So hopefully this is something you'll enjoy. Danny and I are huge fans of their show, so I'm very excited to be able to share it with you listening along. And if you do go through and listen to more of their show, tell them you came from us, because we'll feel cool and powerful. So enjoy it, have fun, and you can find out who killed Harlowe Thrombey.
Previously on Finish It.
Volume 1, Cave of Time, has come to a close.
Ed, do you want to tell everybody what
time.
we're waiting on?
Time to announce the book voted for, chosen by our great listeners. Mm-hmm. Matt, will you do the honors?
Shut up, man.
I want you to say it.
It's Who Killed Harlowe Thrombey.
Who killed Harlowe Thrombey?
All the suspects seem innocent, but you know that at least one of them is guilty. In fact, you'll have to do some fast thinking if you want to catch the murderer before the murderer catches you.
So there's a little delicious tease for the world we'll be stepping into.
I'm a little excited now. Only a little. Oh, it's so 1880s and 1980s all at the same time. It's so beautiful. Hello, I'm Matt Yule.
Hello, I'm Chris Yule.
Sorry. Welcome to Finish. I think I'm doing a Finnish accent. Welcome to Finish It.
I thought you were about to welcome me to Transylvania, which is not this volume.
Welcome to Finland.
Finland is a completionist choose-your-own-adventure podcast.
Every page, every ending, every book, everybody get pumped. Harlowe Thrombey in the house.
Harlowe Thrombey in the house. It came in a little bag, a little brown
I got mine,
paper package.
And Chris got his, and we're ready. We did a read of it, and it is on a whole new kind of bonkers.
I have concerns.
I only have one thing to say to you. Page 101.
101.
Did you got that one too, I assume? Okay. Page 101
Page
is
101 is going to haunt us.
Eventually.
When you say we'll get there eventually, do you mean we're going to end up reading that page on this podcast every week for the next
every
half
week?
A year?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We might as well just explain. Page. We'll give you the reason why later, but page 101 has 12 choices on it, I think.
Is it 12?
12 or 14, something like that. It's pretty neato.
You know what happened?
Huh?
You know what happened?
What?
Since I spent a whole half a year reading the same Choose Your Own Adventure book every week, I mistook that for being an expert in Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Oh, right.
And I was not prepared for this book. I'm
Yeah, we
starting to
thought-
feel that maybe like Edward Packard actually did them in a certain order on purpose to work you up to being able to handle what he throws at you in this
And
one.
we just went directly from number 1 to number 9, and we may not be ready.
There's tools
the
we don't
series
have.
has evolved multiple times
Yes.
in those 9 books. It's quite different.
But this is our big bad blowout episode for the beginning of a new book, Volume 2 of Finish It. Who killed Harlowe Thrombey?
Harlowe Thrombey.
Another Edward Packard joint with illustrations by
Paul
Polly
Grange.
Grange.
Paulie G. the Granger.
Polly G. Yeah.
So let's jump into some fun. So we don't unlike the first book, it doesn't say right on the cover how many endings it has. So I asked my lovely wife Phaedra if she wouldn't mind just thumbing through the book and writing down the number of endings.
Oh, nice.
Now I still don't know. She wrote down in a folded up piece of paper.
Okay.
So we can reveal it to everybody right now. Because do you know? I don't know.
Like a gender reveal.
Like a gender reveal, yeah.
Yeah,
but,
no, that's-
like, how long is this podcast going to take a reveal?
Yeah.
So anyway, I sent a little jangle. Do you want to play the jangle for endings, and then we can reveal how many endings a book has and know how many weeks, have an idea how many weeks we'll be at it?
Yeah, I like calling them jangles because I feel like if we said jingle, there would be a bunch of like people who actually write jingles would kind of come after us and be like, look, what we do is serious work. It takes a lot of work and a lot of refinement and production value, and what you do is not that. So we'll call them jangles. Here's the jangle.
The jangles.
How many new endings will there be? Will we get another amazing 40 or 41 or 43 or 50 or 60? The possibilities are nifty. Maybe 70 are waiting for me, or 72 or 83 or 111. Let's all find out how many there will be.
14.
14! Wait, 14?
14 endings.
Okay, we're going to talk about it in just 1 second, but first I want to talk about one other thing real quick.
Yeah.
I really liked your ending song. Can I play something for you?
Yeah, it'd be great.
Got some questions.
No. Oh, really?
Yeah. Loop Thief. Loop Thief.
No. I
J'accuse Loop Thief.
sampled the listener questions song. I'm glad you caught that.
Oh, you sampled
It's a
it?
sample and an homage to the listener question song because, of course, many of the listeners are partially responsible for the fact that we're reading a book that has 14 endings.
Well, that's actually extremely flattering. 14 endings? Are you sure? Not 40?
Yes, 14. 1-4.
There are 122 pages in this book. That's about 7 more.
Yeah.
And there were 40 endings in the last book.
Evolutions, generations of the 9 generations of Choose Your Own Adventure books have brought us to this 14 endings. Potentially 7 weeks. We could be done.
Oh no, Matt, Matt, it's not the endings; it's the pages. We have to get every page.
I got an awful lot of them in this run.
I think we're gonna have to get the same endings.
Oh, but different pages
A
to get. Oh, we're gonna
bunch.
get trapped. We're
We're
gonna
gonna
get trapped
have to
trying to
get-
find page 17 through 19.
That's so much harder than a different ending. Finding a different random page.
And happily for everybody, so much less satisfying to listen to.
The challenge is going to be finding random pages in the middle of loops. There are loops in this book, by the way.
Yeah, there are. Well, the interesting thing is, we joked about this on the postmortem, I think.
I don't
but
think
I
it's
am
something we
actually
should've
gonna.
joked
No, I am actually gonna build a mind palace of this book.
Okay.
It is my plan.
Good luck, because I was reeling when I read this.
Yeah, I was crying when I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna be able to map out. I'm gonna be able to walk through this book in my mind. Probably just my adventures, and not so much yours.
That's
But we'll
that's fair.
see how
That's
that
better
goes.
than nothing. Okay, how's your mind palace so far? What is it? Is it there at all? Do you have like foundation, or do you have a couple?
Yeah,
rooms,
foundations
or?
is set. So what it's going to be is the house that we grew up in Northern Virginia, Cliff Rock Court.
That's smart.
So, because there's a lot, you go in, you go on the first floor, upstairs, downstairs, you go out the back through the trails in the forest, you go out front on the street, lots of different paths available.
Yeah.
So just, it's a setting I know.
Right.
Striking images.
Sure.
That will remind me of things. Keeping in mind, of course, that I have aphantasia and cannot see images in my mind. I'm gonna work around that somehow. I'm gonna figure that. I haven't figured it out yet. It's a work in progress. It's a mind palace in progress. It's a brain attic in progress.
I completely forgot about that. I was like, I'm having a hard time picturing the mind palace
can't
he's
really
describing.
Yeah, I'll be imagining my mind palace more so than picturing it. So
You'll
we'll
have
see if
just
it's even
lines
possible.
of text running through your mind that you're picturing that
I
describe.
can't
the
see
mind
lines of text.
palace. Who could imagine that? Okay, well that's very interesting.
So maybe that'll help us pick up those pages.
Okay, so I think that does pose a very different challenge from the first book because now I'm very concerned
Yeah.
about picking up pages instead of endings. So we're gonna have
it's
to
gonna
really
be
be.
ugly.
You know what we're gonna have to be?
Huh.
Book detectives.
Wait, but we were book janitors. Are we now book detectives?
You've been promoted.
Whoa. Congratulations, book dick. You're both a couple
now
book
you're
dicks.
book dick. I don't like the sound of that.
Book shoe.
Book shoe. I like that.
Like a gum shoe, but like
Yeah.
a book shoe. A
Yeah,
book instead.
Book shoe. All right. Well, before we dive into our first reads, which were on my end at least, like very intimidating.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do a quick segment as we always do.
Oh, sure.
Here it comes. Find the clues. Gotta snoop. Super sleuth gets a super scoop. Who is it? It's not a mystery. It's the great detectives of history. That's right. It's the great detectives of history. A segment where we look at some of the real life great detectives who have solved the biggest crimes and plots of our real world.
Huh.
Today we're talking about Kate Warne.
Oh.
Warne. Surely you've heard of the Pinkerton Detective Agency,
Yeah, I heard of them.
started by Alan Pinkerton. Well, one day, a lady named Kate Warne approached him and said she wanted to work for him, but not as some secretary, as an actual Pinkerton. And they never had a female Pinkerton before. And he was very impressed by her, and he hired her, and she was the first female private detective in America, and also in
really
the
cool.
Pinkerton Agency. It is really cool. And check this out. This actually dovetails with Cave of Time in a delightful way. This was during Civil War times,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of trouble coming from the secessionist
sure.
peoples.
Yeah, yeah.
And she infiltrated them. She pretended to be a Southern belle. And there's a lot, I read a lot about the accent that she used, so I think it was a really big deal that she used an accent for detective work.
Oh my gosh. You think the other Pinkertons were like, she's doing an accent? That's ridiculous.
That's
She sounds
madness.
ridiculous.
That's not
And then-
detective work.
Yeah. We're detectives and we don't do accents.
Yeah.
Hello, I am a Russian plumber. May I come into your Russian plumbing union? And the Russian plumbing union was like, no. But they didn't
think
sound like
so.
that. Yet.
There you go. Nailed it. So she would go to these parties and balls and all these fun things for secessionist groups, and she actually discovered a plot
Huh?
to assassinate Abraham Lincoln.
No.
Yeah, she did. And so she discovered that they were making this plot, and the plot basically was he was going to take a train from, I think, New York down to D.C., back to D.C., and at that time you had to go through Baltimore, and there was like a little bit of a bottleneck, and that's where they were going to get him when he had to change trains in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So she found this out, did all this great detective work,
Yeah.
and took it to a guy who knew Abraham Lincoln, and then that guy took her to Abraham Lincoln, so she told him everything she found out, and Abraham Lincoln was like, okay, well, I don't want to be assassinated. What are we going to do? And she was all like, I got a plan.
Whoa.
Let's get on the train. Don't act like everything's totally cool. But before we get to Baltimore, here, put on this driver's cap, Mr. Lincoln. Put on this shawl, Mr. Lincoln. Walk with this walking cane like you're a sick person, Mr. Lincoln. And she went out on the platform and pretended to be like his sister and was like, oh, hey, where you been? Come on, I got a car waiting. And like they disguised Abraham Lincoln as like some like older invalid like person. And they smuggled him into D.C. in disguise and went around Baltimore.
So like all the cool detective things you see TV detectives do where they dress up and do a funny voice, she invented that.
Did it. Yep.
She did it right in front of Abraham Lincoln. She made him do it too. And
She
he was
probably
like,
made him do the voice.
well, all right, I guess I'll give it a try.
And
she was like, "Are
"Gotta
you
use a
doing the
deeper
voice? Is that the voice?"
It's perfect.
Oh, yeah, you sound like a sick.
You sound
no,
very
that's his voice.
frail. You sound very frail and very weak, Mr. President.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. That was elucidating and good.
You were doing so well with that sentence.
had
That
one
sentence was
vocabulary
like,
word.
you were just like strutting with that sentence, and then at the end it just fell apart.
That's fine. It's okay when that happens. It doesn't matter.
You dropped
The
elucidating.
world is ending.
and
It's
then
okay.
you-
Don't worry about it.
It's been a week.
I pulled a
It's
word
been a
out. That was a
week.
pretty good one.
All right, should we get into this?
Yeah, let's do it. Wait, do we want to talk about
Oh,
our
man.
predictions before
We should make some predictions. That's true.
Let me make some predictions.
Yeah. Okay. What? Let's see. I bet there's a thing.
Yeah, do the jangle.
I was right.
There it is. There it is.
Knowings. Our thoughts. For the future of our readings. Our knows. The stories remain untold. We predict them.
And then there's about 45 seconds of
I can see
just this
that.
echo. Okay.
We can just talk over top of it. I feel like you're developing a whole new genre of music where like you get people like into the groove and they start to feel it, and like you get this build going, and like people are waiting for the drop, but instead of a drop, they get like a plop. Let's call it a plop.
Yeah,
like people
a
are
plop
waiting
is
for
good.
just wait for the
it's
plop,
like a-
and it's like
Like an aural brick wall.
yeah,
It's like whatever's happening is now done.
just completely breaks any momentum.
Yeah, I
or,
could never have done it without the hard work of many other musicians who created a lot of like really emotionally evocative structures for music. And now, if you just put a foghorn right at the part where it usually gets good, then it's this thing, and anybody can do it. I recommend everybody does it.
I recommend everybody does not do it. Do you have any
sometimes-
predictions for this book, Matt?
Yeah, let's make some up right now.
That's not an answer to my question.
So I probably we should have done some predictions ahead of time before we did a read. It really doesn't matter. There were so many characters introduced in this book. I am just agog. I have no idea who is who.
It's a lot,
and there's
but that's
no
true to
description
the
of
genre, right?
of mystery. Yeah, that's probably true.
It's a
I feel
lot
like
of characters, and you really have to keep up. It's like I think I got really lazy reading The Cave of Time because it was like 7 pages a week, and only big things happened. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just plot.
And this is like you really got to pay attention to what happens at what time. Like you have to pay attention to details, like a real book shoe.
Sure. Yeah, we gotta be a real book show about it.
Predictions. You poison yourself accidentally.
Ooh, that's a good prediction. I could definitely see that happen because we know there's poison in this.
Yeah.
I think we might find out that you, the main character, since you are the main character of this mystery story, is either depressed and or has a drinking problem.
This boy detective.
What's such a detective thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Similarly,
I would say
there's
not
definitely...
drugs because he's a boy, but maybe a drinking problem. Maybe just dealing with depression.
Back in this time,
Self-medicating in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's with candy.
It could be with candy. He is a boy. I would say along the same lines with the noir kind of thing. Definitely an ending, a romantic ending for you and Mudge.
You think so? Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
I forget her first name.
There was a girl character you're all about to meet named Jenny Mudge, who is a sharp detective just like yourself.
Yeah. Lives in your neighborhood. Is also a smart child detective.
Definitely already my favorite character in any
Yeah, a lot
Choose Your
of
Own
jealousy
Adventure
going
book.
on the part of you in this book.
Yes.
Okay, prediction.
Let's see. I'll see that maybe at some point this murder will force the main character to confront some darkness in his past.
Oh.
Because that's always a thing, right? Like the murder mirrors
Yeah.
something horrible that they experienced when they were younger.
Yeah, I think okay, and I think there's probably an ending where you and whoever is the killer
Yeah.
decide to split Harlowe Thrombey's monies.
Oh, that's good. That's real good.
It's like
I'll
a
be
bad guy
impressed if that's
ending.
it.
Because this
Where
is
you
a
decide
very
to go bad. You decide-
Fletch-like book. It's got some serious Fletch similarities.
Yeah, it's got a soupçon of flesh.
So yeah, that. Do we need more?
I
Should we
have
do
one
more
more.
intro?
I think
Oh, you have
maybe
one more.
at
That
some
should be enough.
point, you will like be getting information from an informant, but right before they give you the crucial thing, they'll die or get killed or something.
Oh, that's very good.
You know, because I feel like that's a cliche you see. All right, well, there's our predictions written in stone, by which I mean a Google document, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, should we dig into
is
this
that enough
book, man?
stalling?
That's enough stalling. Let's jump in.
Actually,
I want to read the warning
feel
page.
intimidated picking this
too.
back up. How's your copy of the book, by the way? Is it in good shape?
Pristine. It's the saddest book I've ever owned. Right on the inside cover, it says, Merry Christmas, 12/14/84, love, Justin.
Oh.
And this book, until I opened it, the spine had not been cracked.
Oh, it was never read.
When I opened the front page and revealed that note, the page was like, crack.
Oh, that is sad.
I
Makes
do
me
not
feel
know
bad
that,
for Justin.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew that Justin loved them in 1984.
Who?
Although, wait a week and give it for Christmas, Justin.
Mine actually on the inside says Mr. Hanscom.
So wait, is that somebody's prediction? Isn't that close to somebody's last name in this book?
I don't think so.
Robert Lipscomb. What's
Yeah.
that guy's name?
This
Okay,
is Mr.
never mind.
Hanscom.
Mr. Hanscom.
Handwritten. I don't know. Maybe it's part of a teacher's library. I don't know who would write. Like, I wouldn't write Mr. Yule on the inside of one of my books.
Well, the first 3 years you work as a teacher, you're like, I'm not writing my name inside of every book in my little library closet. It's ridiculous. And year 3, you're like, all right, I'm sick of
learn that
this.
lesson.
I'm not buying another copy of Who Killed Harlowe Thrombey.
I have one. They always have the little user reviews on the first page there.
Yeah, I love those.
They're really great. And there's one that I like a lot from Anthony Zaccardi, age 11, where he said, "It's great fun. I like the idea of making my own decisions." Like, he's never tried that before. He's like,
His parents are like, wait, he's making his own decisions? It turns
gave
out
him
he's
this
a Daryl. He's a little robot kid. And he's never supposed to make his own decisions. It'll start a cascading algorithmic effect of artificial intelligence awakening.
Oh, well, now we have to figure out what Anthony Zaccardi stands for.
Oh, no.
Android,
Zaccardi?
pneumatic,
You want to do it now? Pneumatic starts with a
telephonic
P.
humanoid organism.
Wow.
I'm
New York.
halfway through, man. Huh? New York. Zooming in cars. 'Cause all
Robots.
robots.
Do it.
Anthony
They all zoom in
Zaccardi.
cars.
We did it.
Wow.
We made a whole big deal out of the first paragraph from the last book, and I gotta say, I was curious what the first paragraph would be, and the first paragraph did
Does not
not
disappoint.
Here's the first paragraph of Who Killed Harlowe Thrombey, the paragraph we will be reading for you every week. It's been just a year since the robber climbed in your Aunt Miranda's bedroom window at 2:00 in the morning.
Get out, she screamed at him, and that's just what he did, taking her pearl necklace with him.
What do you guys think? Do you guys like it?
A little misdirection to get you in the mood for mystery.
It's a kind of a surprising start for me. They're really diving right into the backstory.
So then the next day, this kid finds a beer bottle in the bushes outside his Aunt Miranda's house. And she is not, since she isn't the sort to toss beer bottles out the window, you handed it over to the police. Now, Aunt Miranda will drink a lot of beer.
But she's not going to toss it out the window.
No, she's a gentle lady.
Yeah.
Now, it turns out the robber's fingerprints were on the bottle, so the police were able to quickly identify him. He's behind bars. So you've earned yourself quite a little reputation as a detective. You've equipped yourself with a magnifying glass, fingerprint, and a cassette recorder, and you're ready for business.
A fingerprint
And there's
kit.
a picture.
You probably already
showing
had
all
a
that
fingerprint.
stuff. Yeah, one would think.
Yeah. There's a great picture
yeah.
showing him with all the stuff on his walls. He definitely bought all that stuff and has a little special place for all of it right up there on his walls.
Some of your friends, it says, have decided to become detectives too. That's okay.
That's okay.
They're just a bunch of amateurs, not like you. They're just a bunch of amateurs, except maybe for that frizzy-haired girl down the street, Jenny Mudge.
Jenny Mudge.
She's definitely smart. In fact, sometimes you think she might be smarter than you are.
Let's not be ridiculous, 1985.
Yeah, whoa.
Now it looks like you've got your first big case. Harlowe Thrombey, president of Thrombey Plastics Company, has just called and asked you to come to his house at 5 o'clock this afternoon. I hear you have sharp eyes, he said, and that's what I need right now. I think my life is in danger. So that's like a really nice chunk of backstory. Like,
Yeah, you really know who you are. You know your world. You know that there's a bunch of little detectives on this street, and the only one you really need to look out for is Jenny Mudge.
you have actually solved a crime before.
Yeah.
What?
You found a piece of evidence, and you gave it to the police, and
Yeah.
that they did the work. But
it's enough to get you enough of a reputation for the head of a plastics company to call you to be his personal private detective.
Isn't that deeply questionable for the head of a plastics company to say, "Hey, I heard you got sharp eyes. Come to my place at 5."
What are you, 12? Cool.
11, 12?
Let's say make it 4:30.
Ride your bike, whatever. Just come on over. You don't have to tell people or don't. I don't care. I'm very rich.
And this does give a very full portrait of the main character, which is a boy.
The picture, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of feels so anathema to choose your own adventure. Like, no wiggle room there for it to be a girl at all or anything.
Yeah.
Or a
And
blonde.
boy, you can really see exactly what his face looks like, and he's got the head of an adult with a faceless adult, and it's weird.
I like the Granger style personally, but it is a little.
I like the Granger style.
Disturbing.
It's this one's a little off. This one's a little.
But this takes us to page 4, where
Yep.
you ask Thrombey what he's afraid of, but he didn't want to talk on the phone, so you say you have to think about it and call him back. It's exciting to get a call from Harlowe Thrombey, but maybe you should find out more before taking the case. So this is your first choice, where you either call Thrombey back and accept his invitation to meet him tonight, or you tell him you can't come this afternoon, but you'll call him back in a day or so.
Right.
So I was very excited at this point because it felt very familiar. 2 choices.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on board. What did you do?
Well, I obviously phoned him and accepted his invitation. It's time to go talk to this guy right away.
Really?
Yeah.
So I feel like as a young detective starting out, that's like shows maybe a little bit too eager. I chose the power move of saying, I'm not 100% sure if this is the right case for me. I'll call you back in a day or so. I got a lot of plates in the fire. A lot of irons are spinning. Let me call you back in a couple days.
A lot of spoons in the yogurt.
Will you take me to page 5 and take me on your journey first, Matt?
Sure, yeah. So I was hungry for action, hungry to make my reputation a little more solid as a detective. So I said, there's no time to waste. I knock on Thrombey's door exactly at 5 because I'm not messing around.
Yeah.
A stout, balding man opens it. He eyes you suspiciously before nervously shaking your hand.
Uh-oh.
I'm Harlowe. What was the voice? Can you do it again?
I'm Harlowe Thrombey.
I'm Harlowe Thrombey, he says. Before we go inside, I'll show you around the place. The two of you stroll across the lawn past scores of
Can you
flowering
do it more like
shrubs
Ed
and
Wynn?
trees. No, I can't. Ahead of you, you see there's a big greenhouse. You're like, okay, why do you think your life is in danger? And he's like, it's my wife, Jane. No, I don't know. I can't remember what he did.
He's like the I love to laugh guy.
Okay. I'm feeling pressured.
I'm sorry.
sorry.
This is for the entertainment of people. I feel like
You're
we
right.
should kick it up.
It's my wife, Jane.
There you go.
I do everything to make her happy. Expensive cars, trips around the world. She even has 2 pianos, a concert grand for herself and a smaller one for guests. The truth is,
For guests, I like that.
I think she would rather have me dead.
Uh-oh.
Then it sends you to page 6.
Okay, so he thinks his wife is going to kill him.
Yeah. And you're like, well, what makes you think that? And he's like, Thrombey pauses again before replying. She told me.
Okay.
Whoa. So he goes over the greenhouse and you're watching. You're like, what's he up to? And he rattles the door and he's just like making sure it's locked for the night. He says, Jenkins, our gardener, keeps arsenic there for spraying the trees. The poor fellow's laid up in the hospital.
I'm sorry.
And
do you spray trees with arsenic?
maybe back then. Maybe like if you have a lot of monkeys in the trees, you're going to spray them with some arsenic. Just to take care of beeswax.
Only way to get them out.
I'll look into that. So you completely ignore what he said, and he said, maybe your wife just lost her temper. I'd like to think so, Thrombey says, shaking his head. Maybe you'll be able to judge when you meet her. She's playing a concert this afternoon and should be back by 6. So as you go back to the entrance, he points at a bright red sports car pulling up to a stop.
Okay.
A trim bearded man gets out and starts toward you, off to the next page. So this is already really different, where it's like it's page to page to page to page of text.
Okay,
Not
so it
choices.
is a lot of pages. Okay. I will tell you, by not meeting Harlowe Thrombey, I did not get any of this backstory or like character introduction. I definitely paid for it, but go ahead.
That's Dr. Robert Lipscomb, Thrombey says. And so Lipscomb is coming for dinner with his nephew Chartwell the nephew,
Okay.
and his niece Angela. Angela and Dr. Robert Lipscomb are planning to marry.
Okay.
I
right.
want
Angela,
to get to
okay.
know Robert better, so I asked him to come early and play a few games of pool.
So
Do you
hold on,
want
hold
to
on,
join
hold on.
us? Okay.
So Angela and Chartwell are his niece and nephew.
Yes, that's right.
Angela is going to marry Dr. Robert Lipscomb.
He thinks they're planning to marry. They're definitely dating.
Okay,
They're
so
together. They're an item.
That's the main cast of characters. Plus, there's the wife.
That's correct.
Okay.
So then he says, "Would you like to join us to play a few rounds of pool, or do you want to look around the place? There's nobody here but Helga, our cook,
Helga the cook. Helga the
and don't
help.
forget Jenkins, the gardener,
Okay.
who usually
right.
locks up the arsenic in the greenhouse."
Okay.
Okay, so here I either look around the place or play pool with Harlowe, Thrombey, and Dr. Robert Lipscomb. So I chose to play pool with Harlowe, Thrombey, and Dr.
love
Robert
those
Lipscomb because it's
choices.
ridiculous.
Those
So
are
off to
fun
page
choices. Okay.
12 we go.
That's a fun
The
one.
game has hardly begun when Robert leaves to use the phone in the library, explaining that he has to check on one of his patients in the hospital. He returns
Okay.
about 20 minutes later, just
Sure.
as the doorbell rings. "That must be Chartwell," Thrombey says. You and Robert go with Thrombey to the front door, where he introduces you to his nephew Chartwell, a tall, stoop-shouldered young man. Turn to page 10. Now we're going backwards. Turn to a page before.
Okay.
It's
That's
weird.
fine. That's not that crazy.
Thrombey shows Robert, Chartwell, and you into the library just as the grandfather clock in the hall strikes 6.
Okay.
Gotta keep these times in mind.
Yeah,
We
the
gotta
time,
put together
the time
a
frame
timeline.
actually is. Yeah.
Glancing out the window at 6, remember, you see a white Cadillac pulling up the drive. "That's Jane," Thrombey says, back from her concert. A few minutes later, a large, round-faced woman enters the room. "So pleased to meet you," Jane says,
is his
shaking her
wife.
hand.
Okay.
Jane is Harlowe Thrombey's wife. She's back from her concert. "I've heard a lot about you. Will you be joining us for dinner?" Is this the same Lincoln voice?
That sounds a lot like Lincoln, but I think that works.
I'll stick with it. Thrombey's wife is surprisingly friendly. It's hard to see why you should be afraid of her. And there's a great picture of you meeting his wife, and Thrombey's in the background giving the stinkiest, snotty stink face look.
Oh, nice.
Gosh, he hates her.
He's like, why is she being so mean to that young man?
He's acting nice right now. She's never nice to me. Maybe he just imagines his life is in danger. You don't want to sit through a boring dinner, especially since there's a very good movie you'd like to catch at home on TV. That's a real sentence.
Not destined to be a great detective.
Will
I
you be
don't
joining
think.
us for dinner? There's a really good movie I want to watch on TV. So you glance at Harlowe, and he says, "Do stay if you like." So you can either accept the invitation to dinner or tell Thrombey you can't stay, but you talk to him tomorrow so you can go watch that movie.
Oh, that's messed up. Okay, what do you do?
I went to watch the movie. I was
Okay,
really
of
hoping it would tell
course
me
you
what the
did.
movie was.
I imagine that's what my character is doing, I guess, at this point. Just
It
watching
did not
a
tell me
movie.
what the movie was. It skipped straight to the next morning.
Wow.
You're up early thinking about Harlowe Thrombey, wondering whether his life is really in danger. So you get a phone call, and shaking voices on the wire. "This is John McGee, Harlowe Thrombey's lawyer." So here's his lawyer, John McGee. "Have you heard the news? Does this sound familiar to you?"
Yeah, I had this page.
"What news?" "Mr. Thrombey told me anything happened to him, I was to call you." "A child." He doesn't say a child. I added that.
You also have power of attorney in his entire estate.
"I'm afraid something has happened. As it turns out, Harlowe Thrombey has been murdered. He was poisoned. Someone broke into the greenhouse around 6 o'clock and took the bottle of arsenic. Later, the murderer poured the arsenic into Thrombey's brandy bottle." How awful, you reply. "He told me his life was in danger, but I hardly believed him." "None of us did," McGee said. The police seem to think his wife Jane did it, but I would bet it was one of the dinner guests." Who were they, you ask, as if you didn't know. And they were Chartwell, his niece Angela, and Dr. Robert Lipscomb.
Well, yeah,
Right.
you know that.
We already knew that. "Let me ask you another question," you continue. "Did the police know when the murderer poured the arsenic into Thrombey's brandy bottle?" "Not exactly, but they know it must have been between 8 o'clock when he gave his guests a drink and 9 o'clock when he went back to pour another for himself."
Because the first round was not poisoned, but when he went back for another. Gotcha.
Go to the next page. "And how do they know the greenhouse was broken into about 6 o'clock? "That was quite a stroke of luck," McGee says. "A young girl was visiting Helga, the Thrombey's cook. She noticed the greenhouse was locked at 4 o'clock when she came to visit, and then when she left at 6 o'clock, it had been broken open."
She must be very perceptive.
She must have sharp eyes, you say. "You may know her," McGee says. "Jenny Mudge is her
Jenny
name."
Mudge.
Jenny Mudge. Just shake the fist. So you thank her for calling. You're shocked by the news. You resolve to do your best to solve this murder case. And from what you know of Jenny Mudge, you know she has the same idea. Inspector Prufrock will be in charge of the case, no doubt. In your opinion, he is a bumbling idiot.
Classic.
In your professional child opinion, a bumbling idiot.
I like
Even
that
with the
this child
whole
has an
police.
opinion about the head inspector of the local police.
I wonder how long he's held that opinion. It's been like since he was a little one, or just from the beer bottle. Even with the whole police force working for him, you usually can't solve the simplest of cases. Still, it would be a good idea to talk to him and find out whether he stumbled across anything important. On the other hand, perhaps you should first inspect the scene of the crime.
So I feel like this kid is like hanging around the police station, just like watching them solve cases and being like, ugh, this one's so easy. You guys are blowing it.
And he could have solved so many cases, but he was just like, no, they need
Nope.
to learn. I'm not stepping in on this one.
If you're good at something, don't do it for free.
But then when it came to his own doorstep, as Aunt Miranda's pearl necklace was stolen, he had to do something.
That's right.
Now they pulled him into the game. So you either go to police headquarters to talk to Inspector Prufrock, or go to the Thrombey house to do some poking around.
What did you do out of curiosity?
Huh?
What did you do?
I chose to go to the Thrombey house and poke about.
Nice.
He didn't seem to have much of an opinion of Prufrock, so. So you get to the Thrombey house. The only person home is Helga, the maid. Wow, she was a cook. I guess she's a maid now.
She probably
A
just
slight
does all this
shy
stuff.
woman with soft brown eyes. She tells you she spent from 5 o'clock until 6 o'clock with Jenny Mudge cooking in the kitchen. And then after that, she left after dinner at 8 to visit her brother in the hospital. And she was there till 9. So you ask her who she thinks did it. She says she's not sure, but she would guess it's Dr. Robert Lipscomb. There's something about that guy she doesn't like. But she doesn't know how he could have done it because Chartwell says that Robert was with him in the game room all evening. And she knows Chartwell wouldn't protect Robert because Chartwell doesn't trust Robert. So you thank Helga, you go to the hospital, and she did indeed visit Jenkins, the gardener, who's her brother.
Okay.
From 8 to 9. In this paragraph, it just says she did indeed visit Jenkins from 8 till 9. And I was like, who is Jenkins?
Right. He's the gardener. you got
And it's
to
only this
stay on
reread
top of
that
this.
I realized.
This book does not give you a whole lot. You got to work for it.
By this time, you're curious to know whether Jenny Mudge discovered anything. Off to page 41. So you go, and you find Jenny on the front porch of her house sitting in a rocker reading a magazine.
Yeah.
Taking a seat in an old wicker chair, you tip back
Just
and put
so
your feet up on the
presumptuous.
porch railing.
Just go for it. Make yourself comfortable.
This so far is the most, I think this next line is the most Cave of Time sentence so far in the book.
Okay.
Well, do you have any theory about the case, you ask? How's this for a theory, Jenny says. Harlowe Thrombey committed suicide. Maybe Harlowe Thrombey fletched Jenny, and this other kid is just, it's too complicated.
Is it?
But why? Why would he do it in a way that looks like murder, you ask? Maybe he was sick and tired of living. And he did it that way because he wanted to make Jane suffer and let his niece Angela inherit all his money. Why do you think he would be such a rat, you ask? Well, Helga says he always thought someone was out to get him, mainly his wife. So maybe he pretended he was murdered to prove that he was right. Jenny is smiling broadly by the time she finishes. You begin to wonder whether she's pulling your leg. Still, her theory just might be right.
It's a powerful mind for sure.
Yeah, but look, it's clear, I think. So your options here are, if you think Jenny's theory is not worth investigating, go one place. If you think her theory is worth investigating, go another page. I thought she's clearly messing with you. There's no way a
she's
smart
playing with
kid
you.
like Jenny Mudge
Yeah.
thinks that this is for real, what happened to this guy.
I just want to
So I
take
said no,
I
she's
just want
messing
to take a
with
moment here and say,
Yeah,
you guys, it's a lot. We know it's a lot.
you picked it.
We're very intimidated by this book. First week or two, it's gonna be a lot of plot. It's gonna be a lot of filling in the timeline, figuring out everything that happened. But then we'll be able to get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, once we all know how to, like, we've got the book, but once everybody has an idea how it goes, then we won't have to read.
We can
so
skip
much
some
of
stuff,
it.
but it's very important that you're paying attention. I know you might be like driving or watching TV or like hanging out with your kid. I need you to park the car. I need you to turn the TV off. I need you to hire a babysitter. I need you to sit down and listen.
Yeah, you're gonna have to focus. You're gonna want to take notes.
Okay. All right, Matt.
So there's a picture on this page of you looking very contemplative, very pensive. If Harlowe Thrombey wanted to commit suicide, why would he have asked for your help?
Sure.
It seems certain he was murdered, but you need more evidence. Perhaps you should return to the Thrombey house. On the other hand, maybe Jenny has some other ideas. So here we're getting kind of back into like going back into the cave and out of the cave kind of a thing. I've already been back to this house twice.
Sure.
But anyway, I'm not talking to Jenny anymore. She's messing with me. So I am
Right.
returning to the Thrombey house. So I'm off to page 49.
That makes sense.
When you arrive at the house a half hour later, you see a large black car in the driveway. A short man dressed in a gray pinstriped suit is walking toward it. With him is Jane Thrombey. Turn to page 79.
Okay.
I just want to say this string, I hit page 49. This is what's about to happen.
Yeah.
49 to 79. This is without making a choice. To 74 to 85 through 86 to 89.
Without making a choice?
Without making a choice.
Okay.
So off to page 79.
All right, we're going to be done with this in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we are. You go out to talk to Jane, but the man in the suit steps in front of her. I'm Mr. Prem, and I threw my book up in the air, and I was
Mr.
like,
what?
why are there Prem? Why are
Okay.
there so many people? This is, it's Mr. Thrombey's lawyer. Is that the same guy who called you?
No, it's a different name.
Who is the guy who called me
Not Prem.
on that
It's
earlier
like,
page after he died?
McGee.
McGee. It was McGee. Okay,
Yeah.
so, Mr. Prem is Mrs. Thrombey's lawyer.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Pardon me. So you get right to business. You say, can you tell me, Mr. Prem, who will inherit all of Harlowe Thrombey's money? Prem
Good
smiles.
first question.
Yes, but it will not help you solve this case, I'm afraid. Thrombey's will provides that his fortune will be divided equally among his wife, Jane, his niece, Angela, and his nephew, Chartwell. Of course, under the law, a murderer is not allowed to inherit anything from the person he or she murders. If caught, you say.
Oh, yeah,
If
I got
caught,
you there.
Prem turns his back. I think we'd better return to my office, he says to Jane. You go into the house,
Mr. Prem
almost
was like,
bumping
he's
into...
onto me.
He knows. Yeah, I apologize. I should have done a funny voice for Mr. Prem.
No. We keep... There's a threshold.
You go to the Thrombey house, almost bumping into Chartwell as you step inside the front door. This looks
Okay.
like a good time to question him. Page 74, no choice.
Wow, just keep on going, huh?
I can only talk a few minutes, he says. I only have a few questions, you reply. What?
Oh,
What?
nice.
What?
That's
What?
good.
What?
Good
What?
banter.
Yeah, pretty strong.
That's like some Felicity level stuff.
So he says, this is what you asked. First, how long was it before he screamed that Harlowe Thrombey left you and Robert in the game room? So I guess he screamed when he became poisoned?
Okay.
I don't
What?
know. He's a
Okay.
kid. He's making stuff up.
Sure.
Chartwell says it could have been more than 5 minutes. So no more than 5 minutes
Between what?
from when Thrombey went to get another drink of brandy
And before he was like,
when he left the
I'm
game room. And he was like,
poisoned!
I'm poisoned. Who knew the arsenic was kept in the greenhouse, you ask? Everyone but Dr. Robert Lipscomb. But I'll tell you, I'm very suspicious of that fellow, says Chartwell.
Everybody knew about that except for Dr. Okay, I cannot get hung up on these details. Continue.
Well, and he probably knew because Angela...
Of course.
Is that the
it's
niece's
an
name,
insane
Chartwell?
thing for Chartwell to say.
Where were you ask him, between the time you arrived the afternoon of the murder and the time we first met? Why, I met you as soon as I arrived at the house. But you should know that when I pulled up the drive, I saw Robert running to the front door, coming from the direction of the greenhouse. I think he was the one who broke in and took the arsenic. Chartwell glances at his watch, turns, and heads out the door. Because you are a child, he does not have to excuse himself from your presence.
He's just done.
At the same time, ... turn to page 85.
This book.
So this is the proof rock strides toward you from the direction of the library.
Proof rock?
And I don't know if you got this. Can you see this picture of proof rock running into the room?
I think I did. That's a great one. He's just arms
I've
in the air, smiling.
Yeah, just full speed running through another person's house. I've solved the murder, he shouts. How interesting. And through the window, you see Chartwell getting into his car. So Chartwell's out of there.
Sure.
So, oh my gosh, let me see. Okay, he says, okay, we figured out Chartwell broke into the greenhouse using a pair of garden shears to pry open the door. The shears match the marks on the door
Sure.
where the murderer pried the padlock off it. And you're like, I wouldn't be so sure of yourself, Proof Rock. And Chartwell takes off down the drive. Proof Rock's like, whose car is that? I'm afraid it belongs to the man you want to arrest. And he runs off to try. He's like, where are the keys to this car? And he tries to get to his car.
Classic.
He's a
Proof
real
Rock.
goof.
Yeah.
There's a bit. I'm skipping. They tear off. We turn to the next page.
Yeah.
You shake your head in disbelief. It's at least as likely that the person who used the shears would toss them into Chartwell's car as that Chartwell would have leaked this sentence.
Yeah, that's not defining. I don't think that's defining proof. I think
Listen to
you
this
gotta
sentence.
dig deeper. Okay.
It's at least as likely that the person who used the shears would toss them into Chartwell's car as that Chartwell would leave them there.
Woof. Come on, Edward.
Proof Rock reminds you of a dog chasing a rabbit that has just run the other way.
Proof
So Proof Rock
burn.
tried, but we're off to page 89. This is my favorite picture. You return home for you have some work to do before work to do there before lunch.
I love that sentence. You got some
By the
work to
time
do.
you get-
What is it? Do you think it's homework or like detective work or just like chores? Like you got to clean your room?
It's probably like every 24 hours. If you don't dust that magnifying glass, you can tell.
I feel like it's like that's how he refers to like his chores. Like he has to clean his room. He's like, I got some work to do. Sorry, I can't come
For
out.
there is work I must do.
Work to
So,
be done.
but the whole thing is, you return home for you have some work to do there before lunch. By the time you get back to the Thrombey house, so it's not there's nothing at home.
Yeah.
You just immediately go back to the Thrombey house. Nobody seems to be there.
Yeah.
You ring the bell several times. You try the door. So you try the door and it's unlocked. So you go inside. You walk down to the library. Suddenly, you feel the hard pressure of a gun in your back.
Mm-hmm.
Don't move. Don't look around. A heavy hand on your shoulder shoves you into a chair. You dare not resist as your attacker wraps a towel tightly around your head and over your eyes and ties you to a chair.
Okay.
So the picture is a kid tied to a chair with an entire towel, fuzzy towel, wrapped around his whole head. And it is one of the scariest pictures I've ever seen. You hear papers rustling. Someone must be searching through Harlowe Thrombey's desk. You could probably get a hand free and rip off your blindfold, but that might be dangerous. Finally, a choice. Rip it off. Sit there quietly.
Oh my God, what a choice. What did you do?
I ripped it off.
Okay, yeah.
Reaching for your blindfold, you feel a smashing pain in your head. ... You are slowly waking up. Your head is pounding. A bandage covers half your scalp and one ear. You're lying somewhere. It must be a hospital bed. A doctor is standing next to you. We had to stitch you up a little, he says. It's not serious. You can walk out of here in the morning. He starts to leave and then turns back. Oh, they found this note next to you. He hands you an envelope from which you remove a small sheet of yellow ruled paper. It reads, drop this case, or next time you'll end up in the cemetery.
Did nobody read this note before they gave it to you? When they found
I'm sorry,
you?
I don't go around reading the notes of children.
Neither does the inspector. That's none of my business. This note was clearly meant for you in this crime scene.
The doctor is like, well, at least we'll know where to find him next time. They'll dump him in the cemetery. In this business, you have to take chances. Still, it might be healthier to solve this case
In this
a
business,
hurry.
you have to take chances.
Yeah, I read that all wrong.
No matter how many towels you get wrapped around your face.
Early the next morning, you walk out of the hospital into the bright sunshine, thinking about Angela. Was she? That's so
Okay.
romantic. If it were out of context of this book, was she the one who broke into the greenhouse, took the arsenic, and poisoned the brandy? And I was like, that's leading.
That's kind of leading and kind of out of nowhere. You've had no experiences with Angela to this point.
Yeah. So the option here is investigate Angela or check in with Jenny Mudge. And I'm already like, no, I'm not talking to Jenny Mudge. She
You're
messed
done.
with me.
Okay,
She's not going to help me. She's my enemy,
sure.
frenemy. So I go to talk to Angela. Did we talk about that she went to the dentist that day?
Dude, that's the problem with this book. I don't know. I've been really trying to listen to you really hard.
I went back and you know what? It doesn't matter.
We got to put our detective hats on. We got to stop being big babies and start being big detectives.
Okay, so this is a big question.
This is big dick energy.
Big question.
But like detective kind of dick.
Yeah. What did we? Who said she went to the dentist? Somebody say she went to. So anyway, so you want to know about her visit to Dr. Marlowe?
Okay.
And I was just like, come on. Okay, dentist Dr. Marlowe. The afternoon of the murder.
Oh my God.
So
okay.
you pay a visit to Dr. Marlowe's office.
Yeah.
And you ask the nurse if Harlowe Thrombey's niece Angela, I guess if you don't know her last name,
Sure.
was she here 2 days ago from 5 to 6 p.m.? And nurse says, yeah. Did she leave something? And you're like, no, I'm
okay.
just checking.
Okay.
What was she here for? What treatment? She was just getting her teeth cleaned. She called to make the appointment the day before. And when I said we were all booked up, she insisted on coming at 5 o'clock anyway. Can you imagine that? She's just lucky Dr. Marlowe was able to take her. And I was like, okay, well, I hadn't gotten any kind of clue about that, but now I'm pretty suspicious.
Are you her child, or what? Do you need something? Why are you here? I'm sorry.
Just into teeth, ma'am.
Just in the teeth.
So now here
and
we are.
Lee's.
Page 101. This is an epic page.
At page 101, this is the page that's going to become a big part of our lives
Oh, yeah.
for the next half a year.
At the top in all capitals, it says, what should you do inexplicably next to that is a picture of a brandy bottle.
Just for the genre.
Oh, no, wait.
just
Not
for a taste.
inexplicably. Sorry. It's not even just a set tone. The first choice, sorry.
Oh, right.
If you found fingerprints on the bottle of brandy, you want to check out the lab report.
What am I
turn to
gonna?
page
What am I
106.
on my own just gonna assume that I didn't find fingerprints on the bottle of brandy? How about you tell me if I found fingerprints on the bottle of brandy? That's such. Is there another
So
path
this
we
is-
could have taken where we
yes.
did find them, and that's
Yes,
why I would
if,
choose that?
if in your story you found those fingerprints
That's not how I read
and
that
asked
at
for
all.
the lab report, oh really?
That's not
funny.
how I read that at all. I just
I read-
decided. I just assumed it was like you get to make this decision now.
Yeah, that makes sense with the way the rest of the story has gone.
So many more options.
But I read a bunch of Grey Wolf and Lone Star books, and they're
That's how it works.
choose your own type things, but it's like you pick the kind of magic you have. So it's like if you have necromancy, go to this page. If you
okay.
have this and want to use it. Anyway, so that's option 1. Next, if you found fingerprints in the greenhouse and want to check out the lab report, turn to page 110. If you decide to talk to Robert, page 107. Chartwell, page 111. Angela, page 112. Jane, 114. Jenny, 115. Inspector Proofrock, 116. Gilliam Prem. His name is Gilliam, apparently. Page 117. If you decide to just sit in a quiet place and think about what you already know, turn to page 118.
Some very good names.
Yeah, really good names.
Gilliam Prem. Well, these are very good mystery names.
If you decide to give up on the case, which is very tempting to me, that would have
Oh
been page
man, I
119.
almost did that. Yeah.
And if you're absolutely sure you have the case wrapped up, turn to page 122.
Okay.
So
what did you do?
I was intrigued. I decided to go talk to Angela.
Okay.
So I turned to page 112.
Where's page 112? Oh, it's after.
I hope you're
111.
going to live up to your reputation by solving this case quick. Wait, did I have a voice for Angela? I didn't.
No.
By solving this case quickly, Angela says. I guess at least one person doesn't want me to. You reply.
Oh my god! I just saw
Since
the picture.
I do, Angela says. I'll give you some help. Robert and Chartwell, much as they dislike each other, both say the other remained in the game room during the time when the murderer poisoned Uncle Harlowe's brandy bottle. I'm sure you have already found out that I was at the dentist during the time when the murderer took the arsenic from the greenhouse. So, as a matter of logic, the murderer must be Jane, you ask? Angela smiles. Your skills at logic are so good.
Did she say that?
continue. No, you do.
Oh,
Your
okay.
skills at logic are so good, you continue, but I know that Jane, not you, was playing the piano during the time when the brandy was poisoned. At which point I was like, piano? Okay.
You didn't hear
I
anything
guess
about
somebody
a
was playing
piano.
the piano.
Okay. Okay, so not perfectly structured. That's
So
okay.
Angela's like, she looks at you wide-eyed, and she's like, perhaps he thought it was Jane playing, but when she left, I played for 10 or 15 minutes. You're like, Beethoven? She's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, it was. The Moonlight Sonata. Then you will be glad to demonstrate, you say, on the piano in front of a music teacher. Angela's face
in
flushes
front
with
of
anger.
a music teacher? Why did he have to add that? Where's
It's
he gonna?
such a little kid thing to do. Like,
I'm gonna bring in a music teacher to make sure you play it right.
they'll know if you're doing it wrong. So she's all mad. She's like, but I couldn't have broken into the greenhouse, got the arsenic. I can prove I was at the dentist. And you're like, I know that. Robert tried to protect you by claiming that Harlowe Thrombey accused Jane of poisoning him. That's how I know that he was the one who broke into the greenhouse and got the arsenic for you. Now, did you follow that?
Okay.
Because reading it, I didn't follow it.
Kind of. In the same way that when I watch a mystery movie or a show, I kind of follow
You're
it.
right.
Yeah. I don't have a good mind for mystery. I think this was a horrible mistake, but please continue.
Okay, this is a bad idea. That fool, Angela cries. Why did I get mixed up with that man? I'm afraid you'll have a long time to think about that, you reply. I'm afraid you won't have a long time to think about anything, Angela says, as she levels a snub-nosed 45 at you. You realize too late that you have ignored an important rule for detectives. Never trust a murderer. The end. And the picture is Angela shooting you in the heart with a gun from about 2 feet away.
Oh man, you got shot. by
Caught the
Angela.
murderer, figured out the murderer, figured it out.
You did
but
solve
I
it.
did get shot right in my heart.
But you did get murdered by the murderer.
The end.
That's a very good ending.
Pretty good. I'm sorry, again, it took so long to get there. It'll be faster in the future, but
These episodes might just be a little bit longer.
they might.
Episodes. That was a ride, man. And that's what I'm talking about with this book, the loops and the bouncing around. And there are a bunch of pages where there's a lot of options of like, what do you want to do
Yeah.
next? Like, what do you want to investigate? I think it's going
And
to
it
be
really
really
assumes that
interesting
you've gone
to
back.
track.
Sorry.
I think it's going to be really weird to track.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that ending? How did you
Oh,
feel
well,
at the end of it?
I had weirdly I had seen that image of that boy being shot on the internet
Yeah, I thought you mentioned that. Yeah,
in
yeah.
relation to this book, and I was pretty excited that was the first ending I got. was being shot.
A little boy being shot by a grown woman because you found
And
out
I will
she's
say
a
that the
murderer.
picture doesn't give away anything about who it was because there are too many people for me to have
Too
even
many
thought
people.
about it. I was too confused from the get-go to even like try to figure it out for real.
I don't want to get too deep into it right now because I think we'll have more to talk about after I do mine.
Yeah.
So why don't we just take a little break?
Much needed. So here we go. We're off to. We talked a lot about what is the new thing we're going to do to replace the Choose Your Own Adventure or quiz. We've really given it some thought. Some people gave us some good ideas on Twitter too. Thank you for that. But it was really tough to find something that would be a good way for us to challenge each other. So this is what we'll do. Go ahead and play that jangle. There's another little sing along song that I will do as we play the jangle. It's the game we can't figure out how to replace. It's Choose Your Own Adventure or ...
I
So
love it.
we're not changing it yet anyway because I couldn't think of anything. And it was my turn to do a quiz.
Honestly, right now it feels like a warm blanket. It feels like a cabin in the woods during a snowstorm. I am happy to walk into its warm embrace. Bring it. What do you got for me, Matt?
Okay, so we're keeping it real simple this week because I was a little drained. This is Choose Your Own Adventure or Sherlock Holmes Mystery.
Simple, sweet. I love it.
Simple, pretty business. All right, are you ready?
Sherlock Holmes.
No, that.
Sorry. Yes, I'm ready.
Are you ready would be such a good Choose Your Own Adventure book. It's like yes or no. You pick no, and it's the end. Just at
Put
the
the
end.
book down.
Yeah.
You're cool. Don't rush it.
All right. The Deadly Shadow.
That's a Sherlock Holmes.
Incorrect. That's Choose Your Own number
No,
46.
it isn't. Really? Okay.
The Five Orange Pips.
That's a Sherlock Holmes.
That's right.
Yes.
That's a classic. A tale of mystery, scandal, murder that may have been committed by the Ku Klux Klan in London. Who else but Sherlock Holmes can solve these series of deaths? Also, I should note that I wasn't really able to easily find a quick write-up of each of these books.
That's
so a lot of them will, in fact, just be Amazon reviews. Danger at Anchor Mine.
I feel like that's a choose. No, that's a Sherlock.
I'm sorry, that was a Choose Your Own
Dang.
Adventure number 49. The Disappearance of Lady Frances Carfax.
Carfax?
Yeah.
Like Carfax?
Yeah, literally spelled exactly the same way.
I guess this episode is brought to you by Carfax.
Yeah.
I'm excited we got a sponsor. That's
from
new.
the Carfax family.
Okay. That's a Sherlock.
That is correct, and that Carfax is too weird. Mystery of the Secret Room.
That's gotta be Choose Your Own Adventure. That's too
It is number
ridiculous.
63.
Okay.
Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes.
Silver Blaze.
Choose Your Own Adventure.
Sherlock Holmes.
Ah,
A Case of Identity.
Sherlock Holmes.
It is. It's my favorite name. What is a Case of Identity? The Case of the Silk King.
Oh, that's a Choose Your Own Adventure.
Nailed it. The Boscombe Valley Mystery.
That's a Sherlock.
Correct. Seaside Mystery.
Sherlock.
Choose your own. The Secret of Mystery Hill.
That's a Choose Your Own Adventure.
Correct.
Okay.
The Adventure of the Cardboard Box.
Sherlock Holmes.
That's correct. Scene of the Crime.
Sherlock Holmes. No,
That's-
that's a Choose Your Own Adventure.
It is. I'm sorry. You're right. It is a Choose Your Own Adventure number 137.
Yes.
The Valley of Fear.
That's a Choose Your Own Adventure.
That's a Sherlock Holmes book you mentioned in the last podcast. A Scandal in Bohemia.
That's Sherlock Holmes.
That's correct. And I do want to read this because this was an actual official description. While the Dr. Watson got married and engaged in private medical practice to Sherlock Holmes for help address German aristocrat who concealed their origin from the detective, but Holmes wasn't difficult to immediately expose him. Count Van Cram's problem was that he was going to marry, and the woman with whom he had a love affair before blackmailed him. She was charming opera singer and had a photo where they were together with him. The king's agents have tried to search the photo, but couldn't find. All hope of Sherlock Holmes, otherwise the wedding will be able to fail. To carry out the task, will have to be reincarnated as a groom for penetrate into the house of blackmailer.
No one could possibly decipher that book description. Except
It's perfect.
for maybe
The words are out of order. It was perfect.
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's ridiculous.
So there you go. Choose Your Own Adventure or is going nowhere at least
I'm
yet.
glad it's still here. That makes me happy.
And we kept it short. That was a nice short one.
That was a nice short one. It felt good.
All right. Is it time to dig brutally back in?
I'm going to need you to do something for me, and it's going to be important. You are going to need to... Do you have kind of a list of pages that you read there?
Yeah, I have my list of pages.
I'm going to need you to track how many overlap. Do you think you can do that, or is that going to be a problem?
No, I can do that. I think, I can do that.
Okay. So, last we met, I decided to tell Mr. Thrombey, I can't come this afternoon. I have a lot of work to do. My bed is not going to make itself.
Sure.
So that takes me to page 17.
Okay. After that.
Which is, yeah, exactly. It's the page that you got after you went to the Thrombey household and then came back home. The next morning, you're up early, thinking about Harlowe Thrombey, wondering if he's in danger, and you get the call from John McGee, the lawyer, saying that he's been killed.
Good old McGee.
Takes you to page 18, which you also had, where you just get all the deeds from Professor McGee. And then I have to choose between going to the police headquarters to talk to Prufrock, or going to the Thrombey house to investigate. And I made the same choice you did, going to the Thrombey house.
Oh, you went to Thrombey.
Because we were just dissing on Prufrock. Like,
yeah, exactly.
He's not bringing the thunder. I'm not going to go see him. So I made the same. I made a lot of the same choices as you this time around.
Okay.
So I go to the Thrombey house. I meet... I go and I meet Helga the maid. There's Jenny Mudge. Yeah, all the same people. I get the same timeline information. And at this time, I'm curious to know whether Jenny Mudge has discovered anything.
Sure.
She has entered the picture. So same thing. I go to page 41 to visit Jenny Mudge. I put my feet up on her front porch. I look out onto the street. I say, "Well, do you have any theory about the case?"
Like, you really thought about it. You really tried hard. You nailed it physically, and then your brain just crapped out that sentence.
I feel like you did nail it physically.
Do you have any theory about the case? And your brain is just screaming the whole time, "No, shut up, you idiot."
You had so much swagger. You just walked up onto the porch like no big deal. You sat down in the chair and put your feet up perfect way. There was an extra glass of lemonade. You just dug in, and then you just blew it hard. You have theory?
If you just farted loud and long accidentally, it would have been the same thing as saying that sentence.
I, however, did think her suicide theory was worth investigating.
Goof. Just kidding.
I know she was messing with me, but I feel like she was maybe giving me
she was onto something.
Giving me some breadcrumbs mixed in with her made up stuff. So that took me to a page 46. Did Harlowe Thrombey commit suicide? Sounds far-fetched, but I have to consider all the possibilities as a detective.
Okay.
So I go to visit Thrombey's physician, Dr. Paul Bloom.
Oh, boy.
Another name. You rush to his office and wait a long time with nothing to do but read old copies of the Reader's Digest.
Oh my gosh, that's like when you're a kid and you go to the doctor's office. It's the same thing.
And Edward Packard was trying to pitch doctor's offices on having Choose Your Own Adventure books in the waiting room. And they're like, no, we just have Reader's Digest. Reader's Digest works for us. And he's like, oh yeah? Everybody hates it.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Including this kid from my book. Finally, a nurse shows me into his private office. I'm glad you're working on the case, the doctor says. I'll try to help.
Barely concealing a laugh.
So he offers to help. I asked if Harlowe was in failing health or depressed. The doctor says no, he was in good health, but he did seem to think someone was out to get him. But I don't know if that's true or not. So I don't get much from Dr. Bloom, so I head over to the Thrombey house, which takes me to page 85.
Okay.
And am I back on your train? Yeah, I'm back on your train there, because here's the picture of Inspector Prufrock running into the room, arms akimbo, screaming that he solved the case. And that he thinks it's Chartwell, but Chartwell is leaving, so he runs back out to look for his keys. It's like a rabbit chasing what is it?
It's like a dog chasing a rabbit, but the rabbit went the other way. And then the dog is this cute big boy, and his name's Prufrock, and you give him kisses.
Good Proofy.
Yeah, good Proofy.
So that takes me to page 89, which is the boy in the chair with the towel on the face. So I do the same thing as you. I go back home to think about it. When I come back, there's nobody there. Somebody grabs me, puts me in a chair, ties me up, wraps a towel tightly around my face. It is I did take a picture of that page to send you because it is a very terrifying image.
Nice.
So my choice is to rip off my blindfold or to sit quietly and be patient. And I did the same thing as you. I ripped off my blindfold.
Did you?
Yeah, so we got a lot of overlapping pages here. Takes me back to 87. but someone hits me in the head. When I try to do that, I go back to being unconscious. Same thing, I wake up the doctors with mysterious notes saying, next time, you'll end up in the cemetery. And the doctor says, that's none of my business.
Kids these days, jeez.
But early the next morning, I walk out of the hospital thinking about Angela.
Oh,
Because why
boy.
wouldn't I be thinking about Angela? I haven't had a single experience with her.
Right.
No clues pointing me that direction. You and I have gotten a lot of the same clues at this point. We had a lot of the overlapping details. So I actually decided it might be a good idea to check with Jenny Mudge instead of investigating Angela.
Oh, okay.
I still feel like she might be on to something.
Yeah, you never know.
So this takes me to page 95. You waste no time in phoning Jenny. One sentence on that page. Boom. And it's a picture of me on the phone.
Whoa, you have a lot of choices.
Yep. I have 5 choices. And this is another one of those. This is what it says. If you asked Jenny to watch,
Sure.
Robert, 97, Chartwell, 98, Jane, 99, Angela, 100. If you didn't ask her to watch anyone, turn to page 96.
Right. So you didn't ask her to watch anyone.
But do you think that happened really?
Yeah, it's all in there.
I have doubts about that. Really?
It's one page. Yeah.
Okay. So I did actually just say if you didn't ask her to watch anyone. I didn't read it that way. I kind of was just like, oh, I get to decide now what I did retroactively.
Gotcha.
But I did choose I didn't ask her to watch anyone.
Oh, okay, cool.
And that takes me to page 96. Jenny's father answers the phone.
You hang up.
She's out, he says. I don't expect her back until late this afternoon. You'll have to continue the investigation without her for a while. That's the entirety of that page.
The dad says that to you?
No. I said I think that to myself.
Okay.
Now I have
Sorry,
to
kiddo. You're going to have to continue investigating on your own. How'd I know?
mean-
Don't worry about it.
I'm assuming that's what you're calling about. That's what all of her friends call about. It seems like everyone in this neighborhood is becoming a detective. That's okay.
There's a lot of murdering.
So this takes me to page 101.
Okay.
The page.
Yep.
On my first visit to page 101, I chose if you found fingerprints on the bottle of brandy and you want to check out the lab report, turn to page 106. I don't know if that's cheating or not. I still don't 100% believe you that that's how that's going to work.
But you made a boner. You blew it. You did the wrong thing.
I think it's a retroactive choice.
No, it's not.
Now I get a page with a full-size picture of the brandy bottle.
Oh, wow.
Jealous?
Can you see the fingerprints now? That big old brandy bottle picture?
No.
No.
It looks a little smudgy, but that's just the Granger style.
Granger
The lab
style.
report identifies the prints on the brandy bottle as belonging to Harlowe Thrombey.
Okay.
So didn't get a whole lot there. Try another lead. Turn back to page 101.
101.
Which is why this is going to be. Which is why this is now a 2-hour podcast and not a 1-hour podcast.
Boy.
What should you do next? I chose to talk to Robert because I was,
Nice.
dude, I was panicking. I was swimming. I was like, I haven't been following any of this. I thought it would just be a fun romp. I didn't think I was going to have to work quite so hard. I should have just, honestly, I should have given up the case. I should have chosen that one. That would have been the honest choice. But I just chose the first person I could talk to, so I decided to talk to Robert. This takes me to a fantastic page. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not quite there yet. This takes me to 107. I telephone Robert Lipscomb, Dr. Robert Lipscomb. He agrees to meet me at the Thrombey house in half an hour. Yep,
Okay.
he does. He agrees. I get Proofrock on the phone and ask him to come too. That's smart. He says, I can't. I'm questioning the other suspects right now because I'm an adult with a job. And I say, bring them along.
And does he?
I say, bring them along, and I promise to wrap up this case today. And I'm like,
Whoa,
oh,
buddy.
no, I didn't know I was doing that. There's a long pause before Proofrock answers. I appreciate that. He's considering that.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you don't deliver on that promise, I'll arrest you for interfering with the work of a police officer.
Nice.
Okay, it's a fair deal. Half hour later, the library's filled with people. Jane, Chartwell, Angela, Robert, they're all there. I stand in the corner, watch everyone at once. It's the drawing room scene.
Yeah.
Proofrock and other policemen stay at the door. All right,
What
Sherlock.
page is this?
This is 107.
Okay.
All right, Sherlock Holmes, Proofrock says. Tell us how Harlowe Thrombey was murdered. Robert can tell you best,
Whoa.
you reply. Of course I can, Robert says, because I was the one who heard Harlowe Thrombey's last words.
Huh?
Jane,
Oh.
Jane poured my last drink.
Oh my gosh.
Were Harlowe Thrombey's last words, apparently. And this says go to next page, and I get a full 2-page illustration.
Whoa.
Of the
Everybody's there.
The classic drawing room scene in the library.
In a library.
Every character seated while I stand in the corner giving the speech. It's a great illustration.
It's pretty cool.
And then it says turn to page. Then it says, and at the bottom it says turn to page 121. And I definitely had to do a couple of double takes. Like, am I on the right page? How did I get here? This is a wild roller coaster, and I'm not sure I ended up at the right place. You pull your tape cassette out of your pocket and shove it in front of Robert's face. I had a tape recorder planted in the music room all evening, you say.
Really?
This coming from the guy who did not come to the party at the beginning.
I've never been to this house before.
The piano never stopped. Piano. Since Jane was the only one playing, okay. I know you lied about Thrombey's last words, but I couldn't have poured his last drink. I was in the game room, Robert says. True enough, you say, and so was Chartwell. Angela was the only one who could have put the poison in the brandy bottle. Then I'm innocent, Robert cries. No, you're not, screams Angela, her face red with anger. You got that arsenic from the greenhouse for me. Suddenly, Robert's on his feet, making a break for the door. Proofrock grabs him. Angela slumps in her chair, buries her head in her arms. It's such a shame, Jane Thrombey says. Harlowe was going to give you a trip to Hawaii for your wedding present. Cool, Jane. Thanks. Proofrock shuffles toward you, taking the cassette out of your hand and stares at it dumbly like a dog staring at its reflection in the water. Slam.
Jeez Louise.
How did you think of putting a tape recorder in the music room, he says. To tell the truth, I didn't, you reply. This is just an old Beatles recording.
Oh my gosh.
Oldest
classic
trick in the
Who is this kid?
book. He is
Who is this kid?
a true detecting genius.
But the next sentence is Proofrock's like, yeah, but how did you know people were playing piano or something? You're like, I don't have it.
I didn't.
They didn't.
But wait.
And to be honest, I don't super get this Beatles album. Like, it's catchy, but I don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't really understand. I'm a small child.
You truly are a great detective. I'm not.
Or am I?
So, I think something that I think
That was the end? That was the end.
That was the end. I think
Okay.
a question has been answered, which is,
Who killed
is
Harlowe
there
Thrombey?
one who killed Harlowe Thrombey? And yet, we still have so many pages to read. But the question I'm talking about is that there is one true... There is one answer to who killed Harlowe Thrombey. There aren't multiple it isn't sliding doors. There aren't multiple possible murderers. So
It'll be really one. I'd like to throw in. I wonder if there's another prediction to be made about.
I don't even know.
We won't make any more official predictions, but like, will there be endings where you send the wrong person to prison, or is it like every ending you find out one way or another?
That would be another good option. You send somebody to prison, the wrong person to prison. You accuse the wrong person, and then you're disgraced as a detective, and you never get any more detective jobs. I mean, that's
You have to work as a candle maker. It's a pretty good way to make a living.
Proofrock said that if I didn't deliver, he would arrest me. So maybe you end up in jail.
That hopefully is an ending. It'd be really fun if we got the two endings where you find out who the killer is.
Who killed Harlowe Thrombey? The rest of the time we just don't know.
Oh man. Wow,
It's a book, right?
This is going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be short, hopefully.
I don't know about that,
Because if it's not short, it's going to be a lot of digging.
We got most of the same pages this time. I'm going to have a hard time not getting the same pages again. This thing is a maze. It's a labyrinth. I feel like all of my memories of reading Choose Your Own Adventure books, none of them were like this. And maybe that's just because the ones I happen to choose. But maybe that's also because Edward Packard learned something after doing this one.
Yeah. I think he learned the same thing that we learned just in your reading, which is that this doesn't work.
It just doesn't
Both of us had stories where that needed us to have found a clue, but we didn't find that clue.
Counterpoint.
Sure.
Maybe you and I as readers, as book shoes,
Yeah, book shoes.
we're not paying close enough attention.
That does seem extremely likely.
Maybe we missed the clues as book shoes.
Hey, we're just starting out, man. We'll figure it out.
We have a very special treat again this week. I was shocked to see, but Matt put together. Matt, can you do drum roll with your mouth?
How long is the podcast for?
So that's a no. That's a no.
That was more of a drum solo. I don't often get a chance, so I took my chance. You know, like people tell you to take your chance when you get it.
Yeah,
don't miss your chance.
And
because of the Spit Mom spaghetti and all that.
We have a very special treat. Chapter 2 of Meanwhile in the Cave of Time, Matt's audio drama where he further explores his unfinished relationship with the characters in the Cave of Time.
There are many questions to answer still from that book. I hope to do that, at least in headcanon, in the form of this radio play.
It's a good one. Please enjoy it.
There is a place that is everywhere, yet nowhere. Every wind, yet never now. You may have escaped, but for others the adventure continues. Join us now for Meanwhile in the Cave of Time.
Louisa was many things, but one thing she was not was indecisive. She had hardly stepped foot inside this new and mysterious cave before she was presented with a choice. Should she follow one tunnel leading off to the right, or a leftwardly sort of tunnel leading in the opposite direction?
Gosh, this is a pickle if I ever saw one. I'd better see if I can deduce anything about these tunnels before proceeding. I wouldn't want to walk straight into trouble.
Louisa tilts her head to get a better listen down the tunnel leading to the right.
Not getting much in the way of sound waves, but I can certainly smell what's wafting up my way. It's water. Better remember that for later. But what about cave number 2?
Again, Louisa cocks her head, concentrating with fierce focus.
What's this? I think I hear scuffling. And if I'm not mistaken, those scuffles are clearly the product of child-sized rubber-soled sneakers. Is there another kid in this cave? Say, this could be fun.
Without another thought, Louisa skips off down the leftwardly cave in search of company. Behind her, in the darkness, something shudders to life. A bearded, helmed figure jerks into motion, and slowly, ever slowly, begins to follow.
Ow! Watch it.
A collision. Louisa pulls herself to her feet to see who or what she has collided with. In the beam of her flashlight, she can see it is a boy about her age. He is dirty and looks exhausted. He has a backpack as well, but it seems only to contain a jacket.
Were you just stumbling around in here in the dark? Maybe. Not really. The Cave of Time glows a little in some places, so I was basically fine.
Louisa frowns.
The Cave of what exactly? Oh boy, you don't even know where you are. You must be lost.
Well, not precisely.
Look, the way I see it, we have two options here. Either I help you back to where you came from because I am a gentleman and you clearly have no idea the danger you were in, or I guess you could tag along with me. I'm pretty sure I'm right about to find a way out of here and back to my own time.
Louisa considers this as the boy stands in front of her, mouth breathing heavily. He carries himself with such confidence, yet he is so clearly wrong about so much. Ever helpful, and feeling pretty certain she can exit this cave system whenever she wants, Louisa decides to help the boy.
Good thinking. Why don't we... Okay, I got it. It's best for you to come with me. I'll get us out of this crazy cave of time.
With no warning, the boy spins around and begins to head back the way he came. He instantly trips in the darkness, but manages not to fall completely.
There's one. Careful of that one. You could trip.
Louisa frowns, but follows the poor boy. They talk as they walk, and she begins to fear the boy may be worse off than she thought. He doesn't seem to remember that it's the year 2022, and that blue jeans have recently come back into style.
You must have some new inventions that we did not have in my time,
the boy says in his strange, stilted manner of speaking.
Tell me about your most modern things.
The question is so strange and so strangely put that for a moment, Louisa isn't sure what to say.
Well, I guess the bicycle trails are the best.
She knows it is an odd choice for an answer, but Louisa feels it's important to further test his awareness of the world. She quickly learns that he remembers nothing. Suddenly, they're falling.
Oh no! What'd you do?
The two land on their rears near a road. Louisa can hardly believe what she's seeing. Cars travel at incredible speed along a massive highway, belching fumes. They are nothing like the cars of her time. Could the boy be right? Is the cave somehow a cave of time? The boy stands and instantly begins to read aloud from a street sign.
Cadillac, the car of the year every year. Oh, I get it.
Louisa is many things, but one thing she is almost never is confused. What's a Cadillac?
Thus ends chapter 2 of Meanwhile in the Cave.
Good. It's very easy for me to foresee a future where we very quickly phase out the rest of the podcast and replace it with this.
Just do a meta podcast of other characters experiencing readers in Choose Your Own Adventure books.
But that will do it for this week, right? Matt, do you have any
Yes,
more segments? You did about 7 segments this week.
No, the next episode will not be this long.
Everybody loves it.
We'll figure out if we're gonna do Meanwhile in Cave of Time every week or not quite that often. I'm not really sure, but it'll have its own playlist on the SoundCloud.
And you can share it with your friends who love audio dramas.
Yeah, share it socially in the digital share space.
The digital share space. Yeah, are we on the digital share space?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
We literally only exist in the digital share space. We are no longer Meet One, so we are only.
Okay. Sweet.
You guys, this is going to be a grand adventure, and
Yeah.
it is weird. And I don't know if there's ever going to be another Choose Your Own Adventure book like this one. My guess is no. This is the only one that is like this.
So let's all enjoy this singular experience together.
And seriously, it'll be shorter next time.
In the meantime, take care to keep your business drier than yourself.
Love you, Mom.